the most transparent way to start this video is that I am 100% a brand ambassador for Heirloom Roses. They flew me and the other brand ambassadors out to Oregon so we could see the rose farm. We did this last year, but I was pregnant and was not in a position to make this detailed of a video about my experience. So we're doing it this year. I do have a discount code for you. It's in the description if you want to go ahead and shop while I'm talking and you're watching this video, or if you want to wait till the end, or if you aren't interested in roses at all and you just randomly clicked on this video to learn more. Any way you slice it, transparently, I work with Heirloom Roses because they're an amazing company. And I think a really good way to start this video is telling you the story of how I ended up working with Heirloom Roses. So I work a corporate tech job, 9 to 5. I love gardening. I have a family, and I do content creation on the side. So I was actually looking to replicate my great-grandfather's rose garden. I've made lots of videos about it, and I had these photos of these roses, and just through a couple of Google searches, I found Heirloom Roses, wrote into their customer support with the photos and exactly what I was trying to do, and they actually helped me nail down some of these photos to replicate my great-grandfather's rose garden. So I made a video about it because I had such a good experience. I spent my own money getting the roses. I planted them, and when the Heirloom Roses folks saw my video, they reached out. They happened to be looking for brand ambassadors, especially in Texas, where I live. I'm in Central Texas, and we got on a meeting. We had a great conversation, and we went ahead and moved forward, and now I've been working with them for 2 years. So this year, the brand ambassador trip, we flew into Portland. This is my first trip away from my son. My husband absolutely crushed it, and we got transported from Portland to the Oregon Garden Resort, which was absolutely so cute, so beautiful. I actually met up at the airport with Antonio, who is from Toronto. He's a flower farmer, and we met last year and have remained friends. And then I met a new friend who is one of the coolest like rose breeders, hybridizers I've ever met. He's the only one I've ever met, to be clear, but he was super cool. His name is Brad Jalbert, and he has the coolest story. It was so fun spending time with him. I love spending time with super passionate people, whether it's about plants or animals or music or whatever they're really passionate about. I love learning from people whose brain, heart, and eyes light up when they talk about the thing that they're passionate about. So we got to the Oregon Garden Resort, and truthfully, my travel day was kind of a mess. But that's besides the point. So the next morning, we had an absolutely packed day at the rose farm. So this is where, when you shop with Heirloom Roses or you buy any kind of plant, either in the store or online, it feels like this very easy experience, right? You hit the shop button, you go to the store, you buy the plant, you put it in the ground. The amount of work and effort that goes into getting that plant to the store, to your doorstep, is like absolutely mind-blowing. All right, we gotta wait for that tea to cool down. It's way too hot. So I'm gonna kind of go in reverse order of how our day went at Heirloom, but first things first, your rose gets propagated. So Heirloom only does own root roses. That means they're not grafted. So a lot of roses are grafted onto rootstock for a lot of reasons, but own root roses are on their own roots. There's no grafting point, there's none of that. So if it dies back and it comes back, it's gonna come back true to variety instead of coming back as the rootstock. So that's one thing that's really kind of important to know as we go into this conversation, because how the roses end up like at your doorstep is they first have to be propagated. And so we actually got the opportunity to pick a rose that we wanted to propagate. They're keeping it for all of us brand ambassadors, and they're actually going to send it to us when it's grown out within the next 12, 18 months. So this is the wild part, in my opinion. They have a crew. And by the way, there are so many sanitization practices, both for tools, for people, for PPE, for your shoes. I mean, one of Heirloom's biggest things is remaining virus-free. There's a lot of plant viruses that'll kill plants, especially roses. One that is very common is rose rosette, which we have in the Texas area. Cross my fingers, not in my area. So, but with propagating, it's very specific on where to cut, how many nodes you want to cut, how many leaves you want to leave. And these people that do this day in and day out are so fast. It's crazy how incredibly fast they are at their job. So that's where your rose is going to start, is being propagated. And then it goes into all these like super sanitary, like there's like all these like plastic things keeping them all apart. And there are people who walk through these cuttings every single day looking for things going wrong and removing or quarantining those plants. It is the amount of people that touch these roses before they actually get to you is insane. It's like more than you would even think about. And so these roses then will get grown out in these greenhouses for 12, 18 plus months, okay? So the rose that ended up on your doorstep or the rose that ended up at the store that you bought has been grown for a very long time, has been touched and observed by so many hands, especially with Heirloom. So they're in these massive greenhouses, and these greenhouses feel like they go for like miles. And there is a woman, her name is Brooke, and she is such a hoot, and she knows so much about roses and plants. Literally, she walks through these greenhouses and she can spot from a mile away a problem. Like, that is one of her many duties, is to spot a problem, document it, do something about it, and it's insane. So they have all the roses grouped in these greenhouses, labeled. There's a whole like system of numbers and letters and organization. And throughout all of this, these roses are being surrounded by beneficial insects so that your rose is really not being touched with like a pesticide. And so that is a huge kind of thing that they're doing. Also, the beneficial insect, they have a subscription. I thought it was kind of BS last year when they started sending it to me. I'm a believer. It works. It works, and I'm a believer. So there are all of these systems in place, and then we spent a lot of time with Dr. Van. Dr. Van is the head grower, and she is so knowledgeable, so smart. It is crazy. And she is constantly doing soil testing and tissue culture testing and making sure that these roses and that this process is as good as it possibly can be. And so you get through all of this propagation, they grow it out, you know, they're constantly like trimming them up and doing all this stuff for like a year and a half, okay? And then the defoliating and shipping process is also wild, okay? So they go through, and there's all these like, there's so many systems that like really truly professionals have flushed out and thought about, okay? And so when you defoliate, there's a very specific way to defoliate. You have to defoliate. I wasn't very good at it. Okay? You have to defoliate in this like really specific way. And the reason that you defoliate these roses is to minimize the damage during the shipping process, because all those leaves are going to grow back. Like, trust me when I tell you, the first time I got my roses, I was like, they sent me a stick. They sent me a stick, and I just paid so much money for a stick. It's going to grow leaves in like days. Okay. Hi, Indy. You look like you did something bad. Did you do something bad? Did you do something bad? Okay, we'll find out later. So we went through and defoliated, and you want to like cut certain places, cut certain things. They're so fast at it, it's honestly unreal. And then the same thing with the shipping. Those plants get collected and then they get moved over to this like shipping line. Honestly, the tape machine scared me. It spit out tape really aggressively. And so I packed a few orders, which was super fun. I packed a few orders and was able to kind of, they've got such a defined process down. And that is really the process of how Heirloom gets their roses to you. Now, the other thing I will say is they take cuttings from their own plants. So this is just like the coolest like cyclical process. And part of where they used to take cuttings from, I think they still do, is the stock fields. So we got to go visit the stock fields on the second day, and the stock fields are thousands of roses are grown out into like their true big bushy selves. And it was gorgeous. It is like so inspiring to be in a place like that. Like I did this last year, but like I stick to like this like 1/3 because I get so overwhelmed that I like don't continue to like venture over to like see the rest of the roses. It's honestly so stupid. So that is where so many of these plants originally started. And Heirloom is getting so big that they actually have multiple facilities now. And so this whole journey and this whole trip, I think for me, to kind of like sum things up, is that really, yes, the story's about the roses, but also it seems like every time I evaluate a story about whether it's the rose company or the employees or, you know, someone like Brad, who's a hybridizer and a breeder, behind all of these plants are people. And I think that's something that we don't think about enough, is that like behind all of these plants are human stories. Even the way that a lot of these roses either got named or came about, there is like a real human being behind this plant. And it's such an interesting thought to me about how that is really connective. It's very connective with people and plants. It connects people together. You both have this rose. Even me and my friend Angela, we both grow in really hot climates. That is like a bonding moment for us. And I don't know, it feels so connective when you're with all these people who are plant people. You all have this love of the same thing. And then you watch this love get nurtured and cared for throughout this whole entire process. And then I think about all of you sitting on the other side of the screen who have been inspired to purchase roses. And now that inspiration and that love from me is now going on to you. And then you can pass it to so many other people because they're going to see your roses and feel the love and inspiration of growing a rose and growing a plant. And so through like making these videos after my trip with Heirloom, I've been so inspired not only by the beautiful roses, but by the way that these roses and these plants actually like connect real human beings and like real human connection. So if you have questions, I would love to answer them. That is my very abbreviated version of my trip to a rose farm. I probably could have gone way more into depth. I mean, the amount of information that we learned about and received about this whole entire process was overwhelming, but like in the best way. And the other quick call out I forgot to make is the staff at Heirloom. We had an all staff lunch on the day that we were actually at the facility and at the greenhouses. And I grew up in Arizona and Texas mostly. And so my love of like real Mexican food is so deep. And I had had the worst travel day the day before and I was so exhausted. I hadn't slept. It was kind of cold and rainy and I was having a good time, don't get me wrong. But I walked into part of the team at Heirloom making us a homemade Mexican lunch of sopes. Sopes. And I ate so much of that food. It was so good. It was homemade. The salsa was homemade. The beans were homemade. Everything was homemade. And it felt like somebody gave my soul a hug. Excuse me. Would you like to say hi to the people? I'm talking about Mexican food. This is very important to me. Come here. It's another moment of like real human connection that every time I tried to tell a story about plants, it's never really about plants. It's kind of about plants and most importantly, how these plants have connected humans, which I think is something that we miss a lot. So if there's one thing that I like need you to take away from this video, it's that there are companies out there that care and are very deeply passionate and are doing it right. And the people are what make those companies and those plants so successful. And I know that when content creators and influencers are affiliated with a company or sponsored, we are 100% primed at this point to be suspicious, right? What's in it for you? I can tell you from the amount of people who have purchased roses from Heirloom and had great results and had these like sparks of, oh, this was my grandmother's rose. This reminds me of so-and-so. This reminds me of so-and-so. Like that, I'm getting chills as I'm talking about it. That is such an important piece of this that I really want you to take away. So truly thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know that this video wasn't maybe like as succinct or efficient or organized, but neither am I. So thanks for sitting down with me and chatting. Happy gardening, and we'll see you next time.